Hello, sports fans. As I know, I'm back with another card opening video for entertainment. And today I want to talk to you a little more about the Shohei Ohtani gambling controversy. I already did a video on this where I was talking about my experience as a psychotherapist and addictions counselor and how that might affect the approach that would be taken with Ippei and or Shohei, whoever's found to be guilty of this giant gambling conspiracy. And that video did very well. Many of you are new to the channel because of that video, and I welcome you here. This is going to be a two-part video. Part one is all the proof of why he is innocent. Part two is going to be all of the proof as to why he is guilty. I am simply presenting the facts. I am not saying that he is or is not guilty. So, I was not able to do a reaction video to Shohei's press conference. Unfortunately, I really wanted to, but we have a relative in the hospital, and it pushed me behind on my videos for quite a few days. So this is coming out a few days after that press conference. I also should have said this disclaimer. I am a Rockies and Red Sox fan, as you can tell by my attire. I do not have a dog in the fight. I like the Dodgers okay. I don't live in LA. I've never lived in LA. I don't really have one opinion one way or the other as far as their ultra spending and becoming like the National League Yankees. I mean, we live in a competitive society, and I'm happy to see the Dodgers ownership spending money, unlike the Red Sox ownership. The Colorado Rockies ownership, all they spend money on is Chris Bryant, whom I really like as a person, but I think we'd all agree is past his prime as a player. And so getting rid of Nolan Arenado and then bringing in Chris Bryant for the same money makes no sense. At any rate, I respect them for spending the money because at least they're not pocketing it. And as an aside, as an entrepreneur, I think it's a really good business decision because you spend the money, you make the brand more popular, people spend more money on your brand. Anyway, point being, I don't have a dog in this particular fight. So, Shohei Ohtani had a press conference, and it was a long press conference. They were expecting him to make a brief statement, but it was a long press conference. So based on that press conference and all of the reading and analysis that I've done since then, these are the reasons why you could argue that Shohei is innocent. The first one is kind of a soft reason, but just watching his body language during the press conference, there were a couple times where he seemed close to tears. And I even screen grabbed a couple things because I wanted to look at it more carefully. And it really seemed like he was genuinely very upset. Now, can people fake upset? Of course. Of course. But it seemed like he was genuinely upset. It did not seem sketchy. Every interview that Ippei has done, he has seemed sketchy AF. In my opinion, he keeps changing his story. His body language is not good. He seems like a guilty person. Obviously, he is guilty of something. It's possible that what he's guilty of is covering up for Shohei. He's guilty of something no matter what. Even if you play out the worst case scenario where Shohei is the most guilty and Ippei is the most innocent, it's clear that Ippei did something wrong because he covered for Shohei at the very least. And or he gambled away millions of dollars and got it paid for by his buddy, but still he chose to do that. Or very worst case, he stole a bunch of money from his buddy. He's guilty of something. It's not clear at all that Shohei is guilty of anything at all right now. So just to be clear, there's no evidence at all that he's guilty of anything. Now, some of you in the comments on my last video were saying MLB will definitely cover it up no matter what happens. He's their stable pony. He's going to, for sure, win any public opinion fight. He's going to be protected, etc. Some of you are saying he's definitely going to jail. His career is over. Sell all his cards. So there's viewpoints on both extremes, but I tend to think that the federal investigators and the MLB are going to need to discipline him in some way if he did something wrong. The fact that so far they haven't done that and he hasn't been suspended pending an investigation, which they did with a couple of other pretty high-profile players pretty recently, that to me speaks to his likely innocence. Another thing that speaks to his likely innocence is that if you read some of the athletics material on this, it's very interesting. Shohei, if he is guilty, put himself in an incredibly compromised legal situation. I mean, we're talking about a $10 million defamation lawsuit or more if, in fact, he did all of the gambling or had Ippei do it for him or whatever. Ippei is in a position to sue Shohei for defamation of character in a big, big way. Because Shohei didn't come out and pull punches. Shohei came out and said straight up, I did not bet on baseball or anything else. I did not know that Ippei was doing this. I did not pay off his debts for him. And I did not know that the media was requesting to talk to me until all of this came out and there was a press conference and all of that. And if you watch the press conference, again, he might have been faking, but it seems like as Ippei is talking, Shohei is getting upset based on what he understands. Ippei is speaking in English, and he runs over to one of the other translators to ask, am I hearing what I think I'm hearing? And then he said in his press conference that it wasn't until the night after Ippei's press conference, when they were in Korea, when the two of them talked, that he fully realized the magnitude of what Ippei had done. There's an argument toward his guilt, and we're going to talk about that in the next video, but we'll touch on it briefly here. How could anybody lose $4.5 million and not know about it? Like, that's impossible. It defies all logic. There's no way. There's no way that ever could happen. Well, here's the counterpoint to that. Two different things. First thing, Shohei has gotten pretty good at understanding and speaking English, but he's still not good enough to not need a translator. So presumably, he had some kind of laptop or something that had access to his American bank accounts, because I'm guessing he's getting paid in dollars into an American bank account, not in yen into a Japanese bank account, although I don't know, but that's the guess. Okay, so that's thing one. And thing two is that if he didn't know that people were requesting interviews with him because Ippei wasn't telling him, what that would logically dictate is that all of the interview requests were going through Ippei. And that, one might conclude, if one was arguing for Shohei's innocence, which is what this video is about. I'm not expressing that I think one thing or another, just these are thoughts. That would lead one to believe, if all the media requests were coming through Ippei, that mail is coming through Ippei, that email is coming through Ippei, that anything in English that says, "Dear Mr. Ohtani, did you mean to wire $500,000 to this person?" All the stuff that comes up for us in the United States every day when our bank thinks maybe we're being taken advantage of, all of that would have potentially been caught in the funnel by Ippei purposely not telling Shohei these things. And history is riddled with assistants not telling their very famous or very prominent employers things. I'm not famous, although a couple of you did recognize me at the Rockies game the other day, which was awesome. Always feel free to say hi if you see me at a game or a card show or whatever. I'm not famous. I'm very well respected and renowned within the particular sliver of the behavioral health industry that I'm in. I'm pretty well regarded within YouTube baseball card world and increasingly baseball world in general, because these opinion videos seem to do pretty well. But I am not anywhere near the level that Shohei's at. And I can tell you guys that at my business, because I run a treatment center, I have an assistant. And if she chose to stop funneling certain information to me, it would make me look really bad. The amount of stuff that I have to cover on a daily basis, if she wanted to control that flow of information to my detriment and to her benefit, she could. So I'm just saying, if you have never experienced having an assistant that you count on, it's really hard to fathom this, but I can kind of get there just based on my own experience and trying to kind of imagine what it's like to be a star of that magnitude. I also have a couple of friends who are really prominent musicians, and they count on their tour managers. They count on their personal assistants. They count on people to help run their life because what they're doing is so high level. So it's certainly possible that Shohei could get fleeced by Ippei if Ippei had access to his bank accounts. And Ippei must have had access to his bank accounts because Shohei Ohtani can't walk into a mall and go shopping. Like, someone's got to buy his clothes. He can't just go buy food. Someone's got to do that for him. There's a lot of things that he can't do. It does actually make sense. It's hard for those of us who don't have millions and millions and millions of dollars to fathom it, but it does actually make sense that Ippei could take quite a bit of money from Shohei without Shohei knowing, because it's clear that over many, many, many years, a high level of trust was built. And as a complete sidebar, just as a psychotherapist, I'm concerned for Shohei Ohtani because I think he already had a very tight circle. And I think that he already has an experience of not being a normal person. And you're like, well, duh. But a betrayal of this magnitude, and truly, if Shohei is innocent and Ippei is guilty of all of this, it's a serious trauma for Shohei Ohtani. Like a serious trauma, a serious betrayal. $4.5 million. And perhaps even more importantly than that, the lesson being learned as it gets learned in trauma, if it doesn't get processed, that you can extrapolate that to everything and everyone. So his ability to trust people just went way out the window. And that's going to be hard on him, like as a human being. End of that digression. So just to quickly review, there hasn't been any smoke or fire about Shohei gambling other than some people on Twitter just pointing out things that are not possible to verify. So I'm not saying those things aren't true, but it's impossible to verify them. Ippei is under federal investigation. Shohei is not. So that also tells us quite a bit. MLB is investigating Shohei, but they have not put him on leave, which is kind of their standard operating procedure when they think someone has done something wrong. So there's that. Let's look at the Wander Franco situation. MLB thought he had done something wrong, so they put him on leave while they researched it, and it has come out that he did do something wrong. Even though his legal things are still unfolding in the Dominican, it's pretty clear at this point that he did. The last thing, and the thing that I think is the most compelling, is, again, he risked a lot of exposure financially by saying so definitively. He didn't beat around the bush. He didn't say, I have no comment on this or that. He didn't say, this much I can tell you, but these other things are kind of pending. He didn't do all the stuff that people usually do when they're feeling like they need to lie or obfuscate or not quite come clean. So Shohei did a little gambling, and then he comes out and says, I didn't do any of this. And if he had helped Ippei even a little bit, and then comes to say, I did not help Ippei, he stole from me. Ippei could come sue him for, again, millions or tens of millions of dollars for character defamation. So him exposing himself that way, unless you are really dumb, which I don't think Shohei is, unless you are such a malignant narcissist that you truly feel that the things you say and do have no consequences, which I don't think is true based on what we know of him, or unless you have paid someone off so bad that they're willing to be thrown under the bus and not come after you, which is possible. It's not likely that any rational person would come out and publicly smear another person knowing that what they're saying is incorrect, especially someone with a high profile and a lot of money. Think about it. Even someone that's got as much money as Shohei, he's already lost millions. He doesn't want to lose millions more by Ippei attacking him. And so he didn't hedge at all. If you haven't seen his press conference, it's really worth watching. He did not hedge whatsoever. He went straight for the jugular and was like, this is what's true. This is what's not true. And I've never seen someone be quite that brazen for quite that long in quite that much detail. You know, you saw the little denials here and there from Wander Franco, but I mean, they were pretty off the cuff. They weren't super detailed in a press conference for 20 plus minutes. So those are all the reasons to believe that Shohei is innocent. This is going to play out. We're going to learn way more. It may turn out that he's guilty. It may turn out that he's innocent. It may turn out that we'll never know. But I've become rather obsessed is a strong word, but I'm really interested in this story for a lot of reasons. First off, we're all fascinated by Shohei Ohtani. Secondly, I pulled that incredible Shohei Ohtani card, so that got me kind of emotionally invested in him. If you haven't seen that video, it's on the landing page for my YouTube channel. And thirdly, as someone who has personally struggled with addiction and gotten past it, and who makes a living helping people do that, the notion that someone could ruin their life through gambling, whether it's Ippei and Shohei or both, sadly is very familiar to me as a professional. And the reason I made that first video was to try to give people hope that like you actually can get better from this, but also this is how bad the disease of addiction can be and how badly it can ruin your life. Because Ippei had, I think by most measures, a pretty awesome gig, and now it's gone. I would not be surprised if his marriage ended. I would not be surprised if things get way worse for him. I did want to just clarify one thing too, and I should have done this earlier in the video, but there was a comment that I was saying if Ipe didn't go to treatment, he would never stop gambling. And what I was trying to confer was, if he doesn't get help, it's very, very, very difficult to end an addiction without help. It can be done. But what I was trying to say was, whether it's through treatment or counseling or Gambling Anonymous or whatever, it's highly likely that if he doesn't get help, things won't change. And it's certainly true that if he doesn't change, things won't change. That was the only point I was trying to make there. So that's going to do it for today. I'm going to post a companion video to this where we're going to see the other side, which is Shohei is guilty, and here's why. And I hope that you find this entertaining, stimulating, interesting. Again, The Athletic is my main source for most of this, and it's a great, great, great institution with great sports writing, and I really recommend it. They don't sponsor the channel or anything. It's just, I really recommend them. So keep that big smile on your face, everybody, because baseball is awesome, and Noma loves you. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you next time.
Hi, this is Drew Romo from the Colorado Rockies. Noma loves you.